Since the dawn of civilization, humans have been plagued with the great questions. Where do we come from? Why are we here? Are we alone in the universe? The greatest question of all. Cows versus goats. I know exactly which one is better for your homestead. I'll be honest, this is an easy question to answer. The best homestead dairy animal, I could have told it to you real quick, but the Homesteady community had other plans.
Hey Ast, everybody knows you hate goats. You're gonna tell everybody to get a cow. But I'm gonna tell you why dairy goats are actually the best homestead dairy animal you can get.
Turns out in the Homesteady community, there's a lot of people who think goats are the best dairy animal. We decided to take this question to the Homesteady community. We set up a survey. We had hundreds and hundreds of responses to our survey questions, and 50 different homesteaders who had experience with both cows and goats filled out an in-depth, detailed survey giving us the pros and cons of goats, of cows, and telling us which they preferred and suggested other people bring onto their homesteads. We compiled the results. I love nerding out on good data. We even reached out to a couple of them like SHAWNA and KELSEY. They're gonna tell us what their picks are.
It came to a point where we had to actually finally decide between keeping the goats and keeping the cows because it was too much. It was too much milk, which sounds like a good problem to have, but.
This is a throwdown of epic proportions. Cows versus goats. We have 3 different rounds. Round number 1, difficulty. Ding. Round number 2, I'm pre-editing. Round number 2, money. Round number 3, products. We're gonna pit these two against each other and see at the end which animal is the actual best for homestead dairy. At the end of the survey, we asked everyone who filled it out to become a judge. Tell us which animal do they think should win title of best homestead dairy animal. We have the results, their votes. We're gonna tell you what our judges decided was the best homestead dairy animal, and then we have the special blue ribbon round. In the blue ribbon round, we look to our most experienced judges, the homesteaders who had a minimum of 5 years experience with both cows and goats. We looked to these elite judges to answer this question. And their choice for the best homestead dairy animal, it shocked me. But actually, this is the only time this has happened. This is fascinating. This is the only time this happened in the whole survey. Let's get ready to ruminate! Still going, hey! This epic throwdown is brought to you by Laurel Mountain Goat Milk Soaps. Later in this throwdown, you're gonna learn why goat milk soap is such an awesome thing. If you're looking for some all-natural products for your family to use, goat milk soap from Laurel Mountain is a great product. We'll have a coupon code in the description of this episode. Let's get into it. Here's how it's gonna work. For each round,
we're going to give our own opinion over what's easier or harder.
Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty data and we'll share with you what
the audience has decided.
We've got $4,000 on the side of the cows, $460 on the side of the goats. Mini Nubians definitely win this round.
Ooh, I like it. Okay, so that's how we'll do it. Okay, so we'll start off. Let's start with round 1. Which homestead dairy animal is the easiest to work with? Let's talk about difficulty because all animals are difficult in their own unique ways. Cow versus goat. On 3, what's more difficult to work with? All in general, overall, what's more difficult to work with?
Okay.
First, just our opinion. 1, 2, 3, goat.
Goat.
All right, that was easy.
No, actually, I thought about that a lot. Because a cow is a larger animal, there is going to be a lot more work associated with the size of the animal, like cleaning up after them. Transporting them out anywhere is harder. You need to find a vet to come to you. For trimming hooves, you gotta find a hoof trimmer to come to you, unless you wanna be taking them all the time.
You're describing the easy
Yes,
animal.
this is the easy animal, and in the end, you know what did it for me is, you know what?
Goats are.
Good, waste of time. The day-to-day, what is the hardest thing with goats? And it never stops.
Containing them?
Yes.
Containing them. I think goats are more difficult to work with because of the nature of the goat.
What do I mean by nature of the goat? We did a whole video about this a year or so back.
It's kind of like that movie Gremlins. Do you remember? That guy goes and he sees that cute fuzzy little creature. He's like,
What is that?
Mogwai.
I gotta have him. He's incredible.
I gotta have it.
I'll give you $100 for him.
So without thinking or preparing, he just buys it, takes it back to his home. Before you know it, the entire town is like on fire.
Yeah, the nature of the goat.
I know I pick on goats a lot, but I'm a lot like a goat. I like to push boundaries. I'm very curious. I like to get into things. That's what a goat is by nature like. Whereas cows are curious, but from a safe distance generally.
You just think about what a goat's going to do, as in like, what's the opposite of what you want that animal to do, and
They're like
that's what they'll do.
three-year-olds. They're like
Yes.
three-year-olds.
So we've got experience with that. It's no big deal. We can manage it.
Kay and I both agreed on this one. But what about all of you in the Homesteady community? We did a poll at our YouTube channel. We asked this very question. Round 1, difficulty, which animal is easier to work with in general? Almost 200 homesteaders who owned cows and goats chimed in. 100 out of the 200, 50%, said cows were easier to work with than goats. Only 30% of the people thought goats were easier, and 20% said it was a tie. But that was still too vague. We wanted to get some real, serious, in-depth data, and that's why we set up this goat versus cow survey at our website, thisishomesteady.com.
Everybody whose data we are including in these results has had experience with both for at least a year or more. Nerding out on good data.
In the data, we found there were people like Kelsey, who preferred cows.
I am here today to tell you about cows, why we have cows, and why we used to have goats, but if you listen carefully, you'll hear there's not a goat to be heard. We no longer have goats on our little farm.
And there were people like Shauna, who preferred goats.
Goats are our favorite dairy animal on our homestead, and I'm going to go into some of the reasons why that is.
We had 13 subcategories in the difficulty round. Let's dive in.
I asked him what was easier to hand milk, what was easier to machine milk. Do you have a guess for that?
Oh, hand milk? Probably
Yeah.
goats.
Goat, one for hand milking, by a lot.
20% of the people who answered our survey said cows were easier to milk. 40% of the people who answered said goats were the easiest to hand milk, which I personally find hard to believe. Cows were voted easiest to machine milk. Up to this point, the data was honestly kind of predictable. Nothing too crazy happening in round 1. It was a real Paul versus Tyson kind of match. And then we came to fencing, and things got a little crazy.
One of our Nigerian dwarfs, they say Nigerian dwarfs, they're short, get some cattle panels, it'll be fine. Not this guy. He would vault like an Olympian over a cattle panel. We would get home from work or whatever, we'd pull in the driveway and be greeted by goats at your car door, which is kind of fun the first time, but then you're wondering what other trouble they're getting up to. Not only will you be dealing with, on occasion, the Houdini goat, there's one in every bunch. Everybody has a Houdini goat story. I guarantee Ost has a Houdini goat story. It's just, that's the way it is with goats.
But Team Goat wasn't having it. Shauna fired back.
As you can see, all of our goats are on this side of the fence. We don't have a problem in this area. I think a lot of times when people have an issue keeping their goats in the pasture, it's because they think they can keep goats in the same way they keep cows in or horses in or other livestock. We use this box wire fence at 6 feet tall. This works great.
Not only does Shauna have no problem keeping her goats in, but she had a naughty cow story to share with us.
I can't tell you where Violet got out of the pasture, but we'll have footage from our neighbors who live about a mile up the road. Their ring cam caught Violet in their driveway at 1:30 in the morning, mooing, looking for love.
Cows get the point here, but no thanks to Violet.
30-2, cows are easier to fence
That's a lot of cows.
Yeah.
than goats.
Yeah.
That's like a
if you
no-brainer.
have had both, you know you cannot argue that.
But argue that the goat defenders did.
Somebody said their Nubians are easy to keep in with
4 strands of
4
electric.
strands. I was
They're
like,
so easy to keep with 4
sure.
strands of electric.
my cows, like I said, 1
So are
strand.
velociraptors, but
There you go. Yep.
as long as the power's working.
Clever girl.
The next category was the very first goat blowout, transportation. 49 out of 50 people said goats are easier to transport. I guess they've never drove inside of a vehicle with a stinky buck in rut. I've transferred a lot of animals in the back of this van. Lots of dirty diapers, puking kids. I've had so many gross smelling things. But this is by far the stinkiest drive I have ever made. But yeah, just don't do that, and generally speaking, goats are way easier to transport.
Transportation was a blowout. That was all goat.
There was another blowout that's pretty important with dairy animals.
Oh, easier to get bread. This is a big one. Easier to get bread? Goats.
Yeah.
Way blowout
Well,
of cow.
you can take them to a buck a lot easier than you can take a cow.
This was the first blind date I'd ever gone on. I was pretty excited. If your blind date tells you I'll be the one standing next to the red livestock trailer, run.
I think this one comes down to your own individual situation, what you have to work with. And you can see this very clearly when it came to our 2 champions, Shauna and Kelsey.
So for us, breeding is actually pretty simple. We call our AI rep. We use Select Sires because that's who services our area. I let him know when we're coming up on a heat date, and then he kind of pencils us in, and then I call him to confirm usually right away in the morning. He comes out, he AIs. Simple.
The only AI doctor I could find required us to bring our cows to his facility to get bred. In our case, that took 8 weeks for our cows to be confirmed pregnant.
When it comes to goats, you'd be hard pressed to find someone to do AI for you on your goats. So you're probably going to have to keep a buck. Admittedly, keeping a buck is way easier than keeping a bull for the most part, because of course you got that they're really wily, just like any goats can be. They like to try and escape just on a regular day, never mind when they are hormone driven and crazy. There are few animals as offensive as a buck in rut. They make weird faces and weird sounds, and of course they have a very prolific odor, a musk that comes off of them. It is not.
I spent $1,300 on specialty sexed semen from a really, really teeny tiny mini Jersey bull, and I spent $1,050 on boarding, hormones, treatments to get our cows bred. Bucks cost $300 to $400, and it takes them about 5 minutes to breed a doe. So goats win again.
The things that were hard for Shauna were easy for Kelsey. The things that were hard for Kelsey were easy for Shauna. It really comes down to your circumstances. Now, after the breeding is accomplished, you're going to have to deal with births. And a lot can go wrong in a birth. This was the first really close battle between the two animals in round 1.
We here on this channel have had good cow births.
There it is, it's breathing, folks.
And other ones that needed help. We've had good goat births.
Kick your
Well, she's probably got another one in there coming out.
Oh, there's another. Whoa.
Oh, look at the colors on that.
Boom, that was
that's-
fast.
That one's white.
Some that needed help. I actually myself, I might give this one to goats only because it's easier to pull a goat than a calf.
Yeah, it is easier for sure.
This category was very close. 10 of our homesteaders with experience in both said that cows were easier. 13 said goats' births were easier, and 13 said it was a tie. So it's a real.
Because then there's the
that's a
issue
real
of,
split,
are
that
you
one.
a big guy who's got his hand in Nigerian
I can't fit
dwarf?
in the dwarf.
Like, that would be harder.
I can't fit.
Can't fit in the dwarf.
I can't fit in the Nigerian dwarfs. I
Your
can't
hand cannot fit in there.
Okay, let's get to the next category.
Health and nutrition is a big issue with livestock. Which of the two dairy animals is easier to keep healthy?
I've had a way easier time keeping my cows healthy. We've had, I think over the years, 6 different Jersey cows here. I have not had issues with parasites or anything with the cows. In general, they've been such health. I need to knock on some wood here quick. They've been such healthy animals. With my goats, I had worm issues. I had ones that had intolerance to certain antibiotics, so they couldn't get better when they were sick.
Most homesteaders agreed that it was harder to keep goats healthy than it was to keep cows healthy. But Shauna had a great counterpoint to this.
I do want to bring up another cost here. While we haven't had any significant health issues with either our cows or our goats, we did have to buy a squeeze chute for our cattle so that we could give them vaccines. Annabelle and Violet are little, but they are too big to give them a shot when they do not want a shot. And so we bought a squeeze chute. We got a used one. It's kind of crappy and rusty, but it still cost us $2,000.
I can agree with this point. While usually cows are going to be healthier and have less issues than the goats will, when it is time to take care of any medical issues, cows are a lot bigger and harder to work with. You'll need some heavier duty infrastructure, and it's just harder when it is time to work on them. So good counterpoints, but still, this subcategory did go to the cow.
Cows. Personal.
By a long shot, 22-6, cows are easier. 11 people said it was a tie. One more, I like this category, easier manure.
Goats, 100%.
Because it's not so big.
So pelleted.
But when you think beyond the manure.
Think beyond the manure.
Us, the difference of cows and goats for cleaning, goodness.
Well, anyway, you're right.
75% of our homesteaders said it was easier to clean up after goats than cows.
Overall.
It's a goat. He didn't say it, but he's thinking it. It's a goat.
When you look closely, there are some things about cows that are easier. There are some things about goats that are easier. But it was time to go to the judges and see who the winner was for round 1.
All right, so when we factor in all the votes for but here on YouTube and at our website back in the survey, the cow is the easiest animal overall to work with. And that's what we said. After years of experience with both, cow wins.
Yes.
Not the chair. What is he? Oh, come on.
It's time for the second category in this throwdown, and that is money. Everyone knows that we all homestead because we want to make a bunch of money, right? And we want to save a bunch of money.
All right.
I know.
But at least we want to break even.
Yeah,
and get a really good product.
Yeah, I'd like to break even on a good
You
product.
feel like it's worth your time.
Right. And so in this category, we're going to talk about saving money, earning money, which animal is the best financial decision.
For us personally, what has been a better financial decision? Cows.
When we jumped into round 2, at first thinking about what we've saved money on, cows seemed to be the clear winner.
Yes, we both say cows. For our family, I think cows have saved us more money in milk.
But when we started to get into the nitty-gritty details of the data, it started to get kind of complicated.
First off, there's the startup cost of getting your animals. And for the startup cost, you have the actual cost of the animals themselves. I asked our 50 different homesteaders what on average they paid for their dairy cows or their dairy goats. And we got an average.
And the average came out to be about $1,740 to get a dairy cow. And the average for someone to buy a dairy goat was $373.
So it is more money to get started with a cow versus a goat, right alone with the animal itself. But it doesn't stop there. In addition to buying the animal itself, you're gonna have a lot of startup costs and infrastructure and things you need.
When it comes to startup costs and the money you're going to need to keep this animal, the majority of homesteaders said goats were cheaper than cows. Cows were able to get 1 point in this money saving category, and that was in how much they save you on groceries, the goods that the cow milk replaces, products you no longer have to buy. When it comes to saving money, goats do it, cows do it. It's kind of split. What about the business side of things, making money? Are cows or goats a better option if you want to make some money from your homestead? Well, we had a couple different categories in this round as far as making money goes. First off, we asked which animal earns more money through the sale of products. Soap, milk, dairy, etc. That one was pretty close. 15 votes for the cow, 11 votes for the goat, and 5 in a tie. The next question we asked, which animal earns more money through the sale of livestock? This one was a landslide for the cow. 70% of homesteaders said cows earn more money, and 55% of homesteaders said it's easier to sell their cows. There's more demand for it. So if you're interested in selling livestock and not products, then cows might be the way to go. All in all, when we looked at all the figures, cows seem to be leading in the popular vote as far as the best financial decision. But that doesn't mean you can ignore the goat in this category. Things get a little complicated when you factor business into it. And we know for a fact, there's a lot of goat people out there making a lot of money from their homesteads.
Funny enough, having done interviews about homestead businesses for a decade now on Homesteady, there's one business that we always interview and they're always doing a good job.
It's gotta be like tourism.
Nope.
Soap.
Goat milk soap.
Soap.
Everybody who owns goats and is doing goat milk soap is running profitable enterprise. It just is the goat milk soap thing. They do really, really good. So you have a cheaper animal. You can exponentially make a lot more money with something like goat milk soap. You can ship it all over the world. You could be a goat milk soap ninja. And like be raking in the Benjis.
Shauna is a goat milk soap ninja, and she is raking in the Benjis.
If you want to make a little extra money with your dairy animals, again, in this category, I have to say we have better luck with our goats. We use our goat's milk to run a herd share that we have. We also sell keeper grains that are made with raw goat milk. We sell goat milk soap. Goats are also great for agro-tourism. Every year here at the farm, we dress our goats up in sweaters, hats, and scarves, and people spend all day just loving on our goats. They even get their pictures taken with them by a professional photographer. And while you could definitely get a scarf on Annabelle, it'd be pretty tough to get a hat on her with those horns, and I'm pretty sure you can forget about the sweater. So when it comes to agro-tourism, our goats win again.
I think the best, most accurate way to decide this is to say it's a tie, and it really depends on your goals with your animal, and as far as what are you saving, what are you making. That is such a personal thing. You could say we didn't make any money on goats, but we never tried.
But I think we have saved more on the product.
I don't know.
Okay.
This is what he has to deal with.
That's why we've asked 50 other homesteads.
Yeah, when we combined the votes on our YouTube poll plus the people who filled out our form, cows did win for round 2 finances. More people said cows were a better financial decision than goats. But that didn't convince Kay.
If you live on a quarter of an acre, you're not going to make any money off your cow.
No,
but
it
you're
wasn't
gonna have to
everybody.
feed the cow.
There's
I'm
an
just
argument for
saying-
the goat.
Just saying,
You
it's
represent
just
the
so
goat.
varied. It's so varied.
All right, well.
Okay.
Do you want round 2 to be called a tie?
Yes,
I'll do it for you.
I do.
All right,
I
scratch
do.
that point. Round 2 goes to tie. Whoever's the best business person out there can decide.
There you go.
Just for you, babe.
At the end of the day, this isn't, well, Homesteady and 200 people said you have to get a cow.
Sorry, it's coming. We're shipping it to you. Actually, I think check your driveway. The cow's
You don't
here.
have a choice. We're already getting accusations that we're cooking the books on this one.
Yeah, the best I can say is if you don't like the results, I'll leave the link for the throwdown survey. Fill it out yourself, we'll come back to it. We'll revisit this in a year or two and we'll see if things have changed. If you want to vote for the goat, you know.
I don't know if our opinion will change, but
Our opinion will never change. Round 3 is product. Product is more than just the milk. There's the milk, there's what you make with the milk, and then of course, the animals are made of meat. Hate to break it to you, but they taste good.
Yeah, these questions are hard. I see how they all have such a good place on a homestead.
I think that's because we have lived both, you know, I know I can be hard on the goat. We've been homesteading for 15 years. There have been times we have relied completely on goat's milk. There have been times we've had only goats.
Yeah.
There have been times I've sworn off goats and then we've got them again.
Yeah.
This has happened like so many
You've
times.
cried about goats we've sold
So, maybe.
and goats that have died.
Maybe.
Yeah.
When you get to something, we can see the reality is, yes, there are pros and cons to both animals. So we know there, and that's why we're trying to share as much data in this video as we can. You may look at this video and despite the winner, not gonna spoil anything here, but like you might decide, well, one or the other is better for you.
So that
being said, let's talk about that delicious butter.
So product.
Product. In this category, we don't care how much money you're saving on milk. We don't care how hard it was to get it. We just want to know which animal makes the best products.
We split this category into subcategories as well because there are a lot of different products and you may have a personal favorite, like cheese. Some people like goat cheese more than cow cheese. So that should weigh in on your decision whether or not you get a cow or a goat. Let's start at the top, milk.
Cows, personally.
Yeah, I'm cows on this one
Less
too.
torn on that one.
Why? What is it? Hold on, let me zoom in.
Cow's milk is a lot more of a neutral taste. It keeps longer. The goat's milk starts turning goaty pretty fast. Our Nigerian dwarfs have delicious milk,
Yeah,
right? So
this
we
is
got
good
that
to say.
figured out. We got the minerals figured out and we didn't milk right away. And so finally we got amazing milk from our goats.
This is more than what me and Daddy got yesterday. We got 1.5 quarts.
Good job, baby.
It was just a little bit. It wasn't very much because they're Nigerian dwarfs. And it got goaty after a few days. You could taste the goatiness. And we are just not used to that.
We saw the same results in our survey. 50% said cow's milk was the best milk product, whereas 25% of the people who answered the survey said goat's was the best, and 25% said it was a tie. So cow's milk takes this one, but a lot of people like both. Now remember, a dairy animal is going to give you your milk, and if you leave it time, the cream will separate from the milk. And when we asked which animal's cream is the best, that was an absolute blowout. Cow wins.
Other great advantages of having cows over goats is cream. To get that cream from your goat milk, it has to sit for a very, very, very long time to the point where it becomes kind of suspicious. Or you have to have a cream separator. With cows, you get that beautiful, wonderful, rich cream right off the bat.
90% of the people voted cow's cream is better. But it does make me wonder about that one person who voted that goat's cream is better. What crazy, amazing goat do you have that its cream line can compete with a cow? Pictures or it didn't happen. Now, we make butter from the cream of our animals. So in the butter category,
The butter is easier to get from a cow because it separates so quickly and you can skim that and use that. Now we had, when he wasn't doing any cow dairy products, we had goat milk butter, and it was delicious. I will always prefer a real product made from a animal's milk versus the fake butter. So.
Goat butter's hard to make, but it is really good.
So once again, if I were just having goats, I would get a cream separator and do goat butter. A little goat butter.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just know you can make butter from both. However, when it came to our survey, again, this was a cow blowout. 86% of the people said cow butter was absolutely better. Nobody voted for a goat here. However, there was 14% of the people who gave it a tie. So far, this category was leaning real heavy to the cow, but things were about to change.
There's some areas that I think the goat does win, even I can admit.
So.
Like cheese. Cheese, let's talk cheese.
I've never been completely successful in my cheese making endeavors. I can get some good ricottas, stuff like that. Easy cheeses. I made a good Parmesan, a few good cheddars. But cheese make is one of those things where it's truly an artistry. But a goat's milk cheese is a lot easier to make. It just has a nice strong flavor.
And I think you can get easier a better product. I would give the cheese category to the goat.
Yeah.
We weren't the only cow lovers to give this one to the goat.
I will say, for cheese making, I really like goat's milk a little bit better because you get that extra bit of tang, which I really like in a cheese. But you can kind of get that with cow's milk through some different kind of tips and tricks and things, which I do actually talk about on my channel in some of our cheese making videos.
I actually thought goats were going to win this one. They didn't. 17% of the homesteaders said they liked goats best for cheese, whereas 30% of the people said it was a tie. But this one still went to cow in our survey, with 50% of the people who filled it out saying cow's cheese was the best product.
And then there's, of course, the meat. You can see from like the 6 chest freezers in this camera shot, we do a lot of meat here on the homestead. I think cow beef, yeah.
It's quantity again.
Yeah.
And it's again a neutral thing that the kids like more.
Yeah, I love goat. Goat is a specialty
we butchered one goat ever, and it was so good.
Our daughter won't ever let us butcher goats.
Yes.
But that's coming. My own meat goats is a thing I'm doing in the future because I do love goat.
This category also went to the cow. 70% of the people who filled out our form said that beef was better than Siobhan. Only one person chose goat meat over cow meat, but there was 27% of the people who filled out our form who called it a tie. Now, just when you're thinking this entire third round would be a runaway for the cow, enter the soap.
I would give the soap category to the goat.
I would too.
80% of the people who filled out our survey gave soap to the goat. Only 11% said that cow soap was a better product. Why is goat milk preferred for making soap? I decided to bring in an expert for this.
The whole thing that started this was our middle child.
This is
when she was
Jocelyn.
born.
Her and her husband Tim run the Laurel Mountain Soap Company. They were experiencing some really scary skin issues with their daughter. She was having some allergic reactions to things they didn't know.
It just looked like she would have napalm go off down there every time I changed her diaper. So we ended up down at Children's Hospital. The doctor there said the soap had to be something natural, no detergent-based soaps or anything like that. That was a difficult thing for me to find anywhere. And then finally a friend of mine was making goat milk and honey soap, and she let me try a bar, and it just worked wonders for her skin.
And so they decided to figure out how to help. They learned to make their own goat milk soap, and they specifically made it to be super hypoallergenic.
Goat milk will soothe itchy skin where just water-based soaps don't necessarily do that. But because of the properties of goat milk, it will help with the dermatitises, the itching, and for my daughter's problematic skin, it made a very big difference.
After sharing her product with her friends and family, people started asking for it because it cleared up skin issues, it was clean and free of any scary chemicals, it didn't have all the junk that soap you get from the supermarket has in it.
So if you use like Bath and Body stuff that you get commercially, those chemical things to preserve it and emulsify it will block the lotion from actually absorbing into your hands. That's why you have those slimy hands and you can't open a doorknob or something. It's because the oils won't absorb into the palms of your hands because it's being blocked.
Jocelyn's really picky even about the way she colors her soaps, what she adds to give them texture and scent.
None of these things have liquid in them and none of them have a preservative. There's nothing stopping it from actually penetrating the skin, getting in there to give moisturization.
Jocelyn loves using goat milk to make soap, and our survey showed that most homesteaders also prefer to use goat milk over cow milk. If you have your own homestead dairy, make your own soap. It's a great way to earn more from your livestock and take better care of your body. If you don't have your own homestead dairy yet, or if like us you do, but you're so busy you just don't have time to make your own soap, do what we do, use Laurel Mountain soaps. Laurel Mountain makes some amazing products. Their soap is incredible, and they are a longtime sponsor of Homesteady. If you need soap, deodorant, beard products, hair products, skin products, click the link in the description below. You'll be getting some amazing quality goat milk soap and skin products from a great company who supports this channel, Homesteady. And you'll get a 12% off discount. Thank you to Laurel Mountain for sponsoring this episode. We couldn't have done it without you guys. So we totaled up all the votes. When it comes to products that you're gonna get from your homestead dairy operation, it's pretty clear.
Overall, if I have to pick one animal to fill my fridge and my freezers, overall my vote goes to cow.
And overall, when we tallied up all the votes over at our YouTube polls and our survey from our website, we found about 64% of the people who voted said cows give the best products, and it was 18% and 18% who said both goats give the best or it was a tie. Overall, cows are making the better products, and in addition to making the better products, they're also making more of it.
Quantity.
So we can feed the cats, we can feed the dogs, we can feed pigs, we can feed baby goats and baby calves and baby sheep, all
with
from this
the cow.
milk.
Quantity definitely obviously goes to the cow. You can get more goats and feed more goats, but
That's a lot more work.
it's a lot more work. Yeah, the cow wins in the quantity. Cows are the winner for product, which
Yeah, we're a nation of people who've been used to drinking cow's milk.
brings us to the final round.
Round 1 went to cows. Round 2 went to oh, right, yeah, sorry, babe. It was a tie. Round 3 went to cows. So at this point, you're probably thinking cows win, right? This is where things start to get a little bit, well, tricky.
We asked everyone who filled out our survey, what, after you look at all your data, which do you think is the best homestead dairy animal? And I also did a second category for people who had 5 years experience at least with both goats and cows.
The blue ribbon round.
Let's pour ourselves a glass of milk and talk about overall winners. Okay, the final category. Overall, what baby is the cutest?
What was that crash? What was that giant crash?
Don't know what that was. Okay, I have the results. I have the data to overall, which is the best dairy animal.
I have to say at this moment, I was feeling nervous. Nervous to see who would be the victor of this incredible throwdown. You see, if you've ever worked with dairy animals, you know that it is truly a partnership. A partnership between man and beast.
Now which way do we go?
Just like you see on the big screen. A connection that is formed over an incredible journey. One full of struggles and victories. Heartache, anger, frustration, excitement, joy.
Gizmo is pregnant!
Happiness, sadness. There's the fear, the first time you go to milk that animal. The pain, sore hands, sweat from your brow, flies buzzing.
As you can tell, it is hot.
There's kicked buckets.
Oh no!
That's a ruined bucket. Oh yeah.
Spilled dreams.
Don't worry, I filmed it.
Down the drain.
Oh yeah.
Here's the first glass of milk.
Oh man, that's good.
Farm fresh cream. The miracle of making butter for the first time. There's heartache.
We just want to say thank you to Ladybug for everything she's done. And we'll miss her.
Death. Rebirth.
Oh man. Oh, what a beautiful goat that is. Come on, girl. That thing is gorgeous.
Life. I grew up watching movies, seeing these famous duos, man and beast.
Vortex, please.
You have the Lone Ranger,
fiery horse with the speed of light, a
Silver,
cloud of dust.
Gandalf, and Shadowfax. There's Sepola and that mischievous little pup Togo, who turns out to be not only a champion, but a savior.
Run, my pup!
There's one more. My favorite of all time.
What do you want me to say? So we've been milking a week now. In today's video, I'm going to show you our milking routine 1 week in. And it's cold today.
There's a Jersey cow, blind in one eye, named Ladybug. She just calved. Cute little heifer calf named Luna. And sit next to her on the stanchion, a farm girl following her dream.
I've been at this a week. I didn't do any sort of strength training or anything. So right about now my wrists and my thumbs are saying, oh, this is burning a little bit. I'm gonna switch to the front too because my fingers are burning and I need a little break from the strip milking. We have had a shockingly good week. She's been great. I love this cow.
The journey that is Homestead Dairy. It is an incredible journey. When you take all that experience, those ups, those downs, those good days, those bad days, you put them all together like we have today.
That's one more point for the goats.
I like cows better. At the end of the day, I like cows better.
That's another point for the
From
goats.
so many different people, so many backgrounds, so many walks of life.
Cows work better with our whole life, with our family life, with our farm life.
Goat 6, cow 0.
When my kids get bigger, if they want to have some milk goats of their own, absolutely, I am not against it. They're going to have to do a lot of the fencing though. I'm going to tell you that right now.
So many different animals, so many different cows and goats. Your fancies and your buttons, gizmos and your ladybugs. When you add that all up, what have you got? Well, you've got milk. You've got so much more. The fact is, this is so much more than just numbers or score, so it makes it really hard to pick a winner. People feel very passionately about what their favorite dairy animal is, because they've gone through the blood, sweat, and tears that is Homestead Dairy, and they've come out the other side and chosen to keep doing it with their favorite dairy animal. You could no sooner tell Shauna to switch her goat out for a cow than you would tell Sepola not to use Togo as his lead pup. I'm not here to tell anybody who to choose for their lead pup. You've seen the data, goats versus cows. It was a hard fight to the end here, but now it was time for the judges to weigh everything in the balance and choose what they would suggest to you. Who would reign supreme? What is the official winner of our throwdown? Who should you bring onto your homestead? First, let's go to the entire Homesteady community and see.
When it comes to overall, what is the best homestead dairy animal? What do you think?
Cow.
Cow.
Yeah?
Yep, cow.
Ooh. It's such a thing specific to everybody's individual situation and personality and homestead that this is not the answer for you. It's just a way to kind of gauge a consensus over individual aspects of each animal.
And if you're on the fence and you're wondering what people with a lot of experience...
You're probably a goat.
That's why I keep her in these videos. If you're on the fence and you're wondering what people who have a lot of experience, the final round in our epic goat versus cow homestead dairy throwdown. Are you ready? People who had experience, 5 years of experience with both, minimum. Lee has 45 years experience with cows and goats. Lee, wow. Tasha, 25 years experience with goats and 8 with cows. 41 years experience Leah has with goats.
45 Marin goats and 11 with cows.
Oh man, this is amazing. This was a specific, I narrowed this down to people who I consider, if you have 5 years experience with goats and cows,
yeah, you go through a lot.
You got the whole gamut.
Okay, here's my guess. I'm gonna say tie.
You're gonna guess it's a tie?
Okay, before I reveal the winner of our blue ribbon round, I just wanted to thank all of the people who contributed to our survey, our blue ribbon judges who have experience for more than 5 years, and a special thanks to Shauna and Kelsey for their contribution in this episode. Kelsey has a family milk cow podcast and a YouTube channel which shares a lot of what's going on, as well as other social media accounts. Shauna has an Instagram account where you can find lots of funny videos of her escapee cows being shared, and she's looking to do perhaps in the future some more things. I'll have links to all their stuff. Give them a follow. Thank them for their contribution to this episode. 2 more people I have to thank. My oldest son, he's starting to learn to edit, and you might notice some of his jokes in this episode. Also, my second daughter, she's one of the artists in the family. She made all the little clay goats and cows that you saw in this episode. Finally, let's do it. The blue ribbon round. Who gets our expert's pick?
This is the only time this happened in the whole survey.
Our blue ribbon winner?
It's a tie. I asked you, is cow the best? People who have lots of experience with both animals. 7 said cow. 3 said goat, and 8 people voted it's a tie. So if you have a lot of experience,
it really is a tie.
It's literally a tie.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like judging my own children for a contest. It's a tie, kids. You all win.
That's a mom. That's what I do. So glad it came out like that because that's my personal opinion. I would make it a tie.
It's a tie. I still think cows are better.
What I've learned from having all these things for so long and reading everybody's comments over the years and years and experiences is get the animal that you want.
Ooh, good.
With the product that you like.
That's great advice. That's great parting advice. I still say cow's the winner, but that's pretty cool.
But there you go. There's no right. There's no wrong. There's just what works for you.
Okay, you've seen all the data. If you're still having a hard time figuring out which dairy animal is right for you, or maybe you know which one you want to get, but you're not sure if your property's right, or you're not sure what specific breed you need to have, we can help. I'm excited to announce we have a brand new Homestead Dairy Startup Program. When you sign up for our Dairy Startup Program, you'll have a 1-hour consultation with me.
Specialized livestock can be a way that you make better money.
Yep.
So as you guys...
We'll talk about your goals, what you want from your homestead dairy operation, what you have on your property, figure out if cows or even goats are the right choice for your particular homestead, get you off and running in the right direction, and when you hang up on that call, you'll have access to all the goat and cow videos that are in our Pioneer library. You'll have access to videos on how to milk, you'll have access to videos on how to build stanchions. It'll get you off on the right foot. You can click there to book a homestead dairy startup session with me. If you don't like the results of this episode, link to the survey down below. In a couple years, we'll have a rematch. And lastly, if you enjoyed this epic throwdown, comment below. This versus that, what do you want us to cover next?